Welcome to this Roll for Crit news video with your lovely backstabbing hosts, Will
and Jonathan.
Today we're going to talk about a classic, and that's Munchkin. It exists in thousands of forms now because it burst out on the scene and became hugely popular. It's sort of a race to level 10 with a lot of joking and mocking of game tropes, as well as backstabbing each other along the way. And now they're going to see what happens when they make a video game.
Asmodee Digital has unveiled the first teaser trailer for Munchkin Quacked Quest, which is going to be coming to Steam and video game consoles, Switch, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One this autumn, which is like pretty much now. It's pretty soon. We don't have an exact date beyond that. And it will take a lot of the characteristics from the Munchkin card game. You're going to be able to choose a race and a class, orc, dwarf, wizard, what have you, and then by yourself or with up to 3 other friends, you're going to be going together through randomly generated dungeons, trying to get stronger weapons and items, using them on different enemies and bosses. Ultimately, you're trying to reach the highest level before your friends can in the time limit that you set. You can customize it a little bit, decide how long you want the game to last. So we've watched this trailer. You can see what it looks like. At first, I looked at this and I thought, it, looked sort of like a dungeon crawler video game in the vein of Gauntlet or even like a Diablo style game. But in reading more about it and how it's always randomly generated, you get random items, it almost sounds more like a multiplayer roguelike where you're going through each time, getting new power-ups, and maybe as you play, new things get unlocked as you go, which is interesting. What did you think about, based on the video? Does this seem like a good fit to you for the Munchkin card game, for a video game form of it?
Well, it does, because it reminds me a lot of Magica, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Which I think is the same spirit of Munchkin. You're sort of going in the same direction, but you're probably going to try to push someone off a cliff if the opportunity arises. And there are some very, at least to me, very classic, like the Wright brothers, who are the ones who make the dungeon. I remember that monster. They show out the plutonium dragon, the classic big thing you don't want to come across. And there are potted plants,
yeah, and ducks. The duck of doom.
Right. I got to have those ducks. What I'm curious about is if they're going to have all the really fun curses. Because, in Munchkin, there could be things that you think you have your character, but things switch up, such as the gender swap curse, class changing curse, race changing. I hope they have those in so you never can lock in. You never know if like, oh, this is great for a wizard. Guess what? You're a warrior now.
Yeah, that could definitely be fun. You do see some stuff that it looks like there are maybe status effects over characters, or maybe it's just enemies in the trailer, so maybe that is something that they're going to do. They say they're going to have more than 20 weapons, probably the most famous, popular ones. They do actually run through a big old list of them. Some of them I didn't recognize. I think either maybe they added them or maybe they're from expansions that I'm not as familiar with.
Hopefully they'll expand more on this, because I think this is a great way where you're like, they can go through all the regular Munchkin, but then maybe if they really want to make things weird, they add Super Munchkin. And then you go through Super Munchkin levels or something, and then you can maybe earn those classes and stuff. Or you can edit it so you can be like, I only want to play through Super Munchkin, or I want to just do the whole shebang.
I wonder how the humor will shine through in this version. Supposedly there's going to be a narrator who will break the fourth wall at times to add to some of that. I also, it's kind of funny because I, at this point, have forgotten that Munchkin is a Dungeons and Dragons parody. Like, there's so many weird versions and motifs of it that in my head it's just Munchkin, it's its own thing. But coming back to this, it's like, oh right, classic medieval fantasy setting. It's supposed to be making fun of D&D. So, but it seems like probably a lot of the sort of the humor of it, they mean to come across in the frantic nature of the gameplay itself, and yelling at your friends and crazy things blowing up all the time. There's certainly a lot going on the screen in this video. It looks like at times it might be hard to keep track of, hopefully in a fun way, not a confusing way.
No, that's why I think a lot of the humor will be fine, because it'll be more of that just backstabbing each other, which once again, spirit of Munchkin.
I'm also, they did not specifically mention anything about online mode. In fact, they specifically mention a couch co-op. So that could be a bit of a deal breaker for some people, but it depends on Because in this video, they're clearly emphasizing the multiplayer, but if it is more akin to a roguelike, like a Binding of Isaac or what have you, then maybe, those games tend to have robust solo experiences. So I'm not sure which direction they're leaning in for the final game, so we'll have to see how that turns out. And also a price, we don't know, but to me, this looks like probably a $20, $30 game, but maybe it's meatier than I'm anticipating based on the trailer.
I mean, with the roguelike of the dungeons, I think that that randomness will help add a lot more.
Right, yeah.
To
if like they said, it's always randomly generated, so yeah. Again, it's coming out in autumn, so presumably within the next month or two. But it looks like one that I might be curious to try. Definitely, the graphics aren't super great, but hopefully for the style of game that it is, that it's enough to make that work, and as long as there's not too bad of a frame rate and things like that, and it plays well, I think it could still be a fun game.
I hope that there's a cheat card in there that just uses the Konami code.
Yeah, they could bring in now all kinds of video game jokes as well. It's Munchkin Quacked Quest. Let us know in the comments. Are you looking forward to this one? Are you a Munchkin fan? Or maybe you're not a Munchkin fan, but this clearly has nothing to do gameplay-wise, really, with the way that the card game plays. So even if you don't like the card game, maybe this is something that you want, or vice versa. You don't want it and you do like the card game. I don't know. Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
And if later on you actually play it, please come back and comment and let us know what your thoughts on it. Was it good? Was it bad? Was it fine? Let us know. But until that day comes, I'm Will.
I'm Jonathan.
And this has been Roll for Crit News.
We would love it if you liked and subscribed to this channel and supported us on Patreon as well.
If you choose to support us, turn to page 25.